If the critically acclaimed Moncage showed us anything about what to expect from Optilusion games, it's that the small game studio loves to experiment with innovative ideas and doesn't shy away from trying something new. And so I was really excited that I got to try their newest title while waiting, which is described as a game you can beat by doing nothing. While this might not appeal to someone looking for high-octane gaming or an adrenaline-filled experience, I have recently been very keen to be more in touch with the world around me and to stop letting time pass me by. And so, this sounded like the perfect review to tackle during a quiet weekend, learning to embrace life while I wait. The premise of While Waiting is simple. We follow the story of an unnamed character from birth to death, told via 100 simple levels depicting different scenes in his life in which he waits for something. This can range from waiting for a bus, waiting in line, waiting for a lift, waiting for a phone call. You get the idea. Without any dialogue and very little text, the story is told via the charmingly drawn environments around you, accompanied by soft classical-inspired music in the background. As time passes and you wait, other characters around you will live their own lives, and you will often find yourself witnessing quirky little scenarios. At the beginning of each level, you're shown a handful of objectives, in the form of a little sticker and title, giving you a hint towards how to achieve them. For example, you might be presented with an icon showing 3 of the character's friends, with the caption, "I got you now," during a game of hide and seek. To fulfill this objective, you need to cheat and locate your friends early before you're done counting. These mini-games give you a way to fight back against the boredom of waiting, and very few times was I actually left to just wait with nothing to do. It is also often impossible to reach all the objectives in one playthrough of the short level, and so you're free to choose which one to tackle first. Almost every level also has an objective called Do Nothing, so just waiting and watching the scene unfold is a completely valid way to play. It didn't happen often, but there were a few occasions where I could feel my patience slipping. This was usually related to the controls not being very precise. The game is played entirely with your keyboard, and I sometimes wished I could have used my mouse. Especially when I was trying to go for some objectives that required me to beat a minigame, and then the time would run out before I beat the last stage due to the imprecise controls. I felt myself getting stressed. Achieving some of the objectives also means you have to wait longer, which I found to be frustrating. For example, in a level, you wait in line in a cafeteria. To achieve objectives, you have to leave the line, sending you to the back of the line each time. This meant I went for some objectives, realized what was happening, and then resigned myself to staring at my screen for a few seconds, doing nothing. While I understand waiting is the core mechanic of the game, I found it counterintuitive to be discouraged to interact with the other mechanics it offered. While I also think that, at its core, doing nothing being a valid strategy to beat the game is a great idea and fits the concept well, I found myself feeling a bit frustrated when I spent all level trying to achieve an objective, couldn't figure it out, and then got the Do Nothing award. It just made me feel like I'd failed at a game with no fail state. I enjoyed the simplistic but charming art style and its humor. There were so many details in each scene that brought a smile to my face, simply with how relatable I found them to be. In the level where you wait for a download to finish on your computer, the progress will get stuck at 99% for a few seconds, before finally jumping to 100%. A level about a free-to-play mobile game was filled with fictional microtransactions. When the character is waiting for their luggage at the airport, you can jump on the conveyor belt and ride with the suitcases. Something I think most of us have thought of doing at least once in our childhood. Using the self-checkout in the grocery store level was about equally as frustrating as in real life, which in this case is a plus. There are also a lot of references to other games, from more niche titles such as Another Lost Phone to classics such as Tetris, Pac-Man, or even Google Chrome's Dinosaur game, which you can all play as minigames while you wait. The story is simple but sweet, touching upon major milestones in a person's life, with many nice throwbacks to previous levels for players paying attention. The lack of fail state made for an overall pretty relaxing experience. While I find this story to be overall charming, relatable, and well told, some of the objectives made me dislike the protagonist. In one particular level, the character is waiting for a match to stop burning. He goes into a dreamscape where you can move around the match, setting different things like fuses on fire. However, one of the objectives includes repeatedly trying to set the tail of a cat on fire. In another level, the character is at an art club and is lacking inspiration. There, one of the objectives is to sabotage another student's painting by accidentally pouring paint over it. After those levels, I felt less invested in the protagonist's life and found it hard to empathize with the more emotional scenes, which felt like a shame, as I found the majority of the story to be very touching. The team has clearly put a lot of thought into all those little details you can find, and I loved all the care that went into the levels. So it felt like a shame for it to be tarnished by those objectives. Players will spend around 5 to 6 hours while waiting, making it the perfect pick for anyone looking for an introspective and quiet weekend. The premise is really unique and intriguing, and I could clearly tell all the love and care that went into telling the story. While some of the mechanics clash with each other, and I found myself not relating to the protagonist much, I'm impressed with how engaging the small team managed to make a game about simply waiting. I hope players who pick this up will enjoy the many little details it has to offer and find themselves charmed by the lovely art style and scenarios. And so, Noisy Pixel is giving While Waiting a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching! This video is brought to you by our lovely supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. If you enjoyed this, please consider checking out our Patreon to support our continued growth, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. Thanks!
Noisy Pixel.